All eyes are on winter weather entering Arkansas, and we have you covered right here on THV 11 News at Noon. Thanks for joining us. This is a live look at roads in Rogers, where precipitation is expected soon before arriving in central Arkansas. We'll look at how road and power crews are preparing in just a moment, but let's start with meteorologist Nathan Scott. Nathan, the next 24 hours or so could get bumpy, and you said we're on the way downhill temperature-wise, right?
Good afternoon, Michael. The cold front has made its way through Little Rock. We were 61 degrees just an hour ago. Now we've dropped down to 51, so we knocked off 10 degrees, and these temperatures will continue to tumble throughout the day. It's 63 in Monticello, 31 though in Fayetteville, and you see the pink already starting to show up in the Ozarks, and that is some sleet pellets starting to fall in the higher terrain. Once that front makes its way through, the winds will switch over to the northwest and north, and they will be gusty, coming in about 10, 15, as high as 20 miles per hour. And look at the feels like numbers. It feels like 22 right now in Fayetteville. Winter storm warnings have been posted for a large part of Arkansas. Ice storm warnings in the purple. Winter weather advisories down into South Arkansas. This means it's a guarantee, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see winter weather start to make its way in. So as we take through time here, we're good today. Temperatures will be above freezing except in the higher elevations and the Ozarks. But look what happens 9 o'clock tonight. Sleet, freezing rain in the pink, that starts to make its way through North Arkansas, and then as early as 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, the temperatures will drop down to the freezing mark or lower here in central Arkansas. So I think for your Thursday morning rush, some parts of the area, it's going to be an ice skating rink, as ice-covered roads will be a big story around a large part of central Arkansas, and this is just the start of the event. Winter weather will continue into your Thursday. I'll have more on the timing, how much ice we could see, and how much snow some parts of the state could see coming up.
Nathan, thanks. Roads here in central Arkansas are looking okay right now. That's expected to change overnight and into the early morning hours. Because of that, crews are ready for whatever may come our way. Michaela Johnson tells us more on how Little Rock Public Works and RDOT are working around the clock to make sure roads are prepared.
The Little Rock Public Works Department and RDOT are gearing up, but this storm could bring some issues with treating and clearing the roadways. Like our weather team has mentioned, Thursday, there's chances of ice, snow, or a combination of those two. But the good thing is they have supplies and materials and the workers that they need. There is a window that they'll have to put treatment down before anything can turn to ice, but that window is small.
This one is actually the worst case scenario as far as before the event. It's going to be some heavy rains, and any type of pre-treating a person would try and do could easily be washed off, because they are talking some pretty heavy rains before it converts.
RDOT is trying something new with this storm. They pulled some crews from southern Arkansas to the central part of the state. The National Guard has also been deployed across the state. They'll be assisting Arkansas State Police and going where they are needed. Another thing is, throughout this winter storm, if you do need to get out on the roadways, you can go to idrivearkansas.com and check their reports. They will be updating them as they get them. In North Little Rock, Michaela Johnson, THV 11 News.
All right, Michaela, another major concern with this winter storm, power outages. The state's largest electric utility tells us it is prepared. Energy Arkansas officials say they've already requested help from other electric companies in and outside the state to help tackle whatever Mother Nature brings our way. They'll stage in areas expected to get hit the hardest so they can respond to outages quickly. 2021's catastrophic winter storm put strain on the electric grid, forcing some outages. In the year that's passed, energy officials say that they have assessed the grid and made some changes.
But we did some extra things to make sure that we have some backup to the backup plan in case we have issues at our power plants. Again, we don't expect that. The biggest issue that we are concerned with right now is going to be those heavy amounts of ice. And
yeah, and that just a little ice can cause a lot of problems. If you have damage and go outside to assess it, Energy says to stay away from any down limbs or power lines. They could be energized. They want people to prepare for possible outages too, and those preparations include having an emergency survival kit on hand. At the very least, the American Red Cross serving Greater Arkansas suggests that that kit include these items. You see them right there on your screen. We're talking about enough water for 3 days for the people in your house, non-perishable food items, medications, blankets, and a flashlight with extra batteries.
Having everything in one place just makes it a lot easier to get everything together, bring the family all into one room, keep everybody warm, keep everybody safe. and not have to worry about where did I last put the emergency kit or where did I last put the first aid kit, that kind of thing.
Officials encourage people to stay off the roads until they are clear and safe for passing. But should you have to drive, the Red Cross says take that kit with you. Also keep your gas tank full. Remember extra jackets, an ice scraper, and sand or cat litter for traction. Remember, you can stay on top of the latest weather and get breaking news alerts by downloading the free THV11 app. It's available in your app store on Apple and Google. And with the possibility of power outages, it's one of the best ways to stay up to date, even when the lights go out. We want to switch gears to some of the other stories making headlines on this Wednesday. The city of Little Rock is now under a state of emergency following a violent weekend where 10 people were shot in just a 24-hour period. Mayor Frank Scott Jr. met with the city board of directors last night and proposed the resolution that declares gun violence within the city as a public health crisis. The mayor also suggested several solutions like establishing an emergency response team, removing budget restrictions for police overtime, and more. The board was concerned with the specifics listed in the resolution and how much it could cost the city, but ultimately decided to approve Mayor Scott's resolution. You can learn more about that declaration right now on thv-at-noon.com. Let's turn now to the latest COVID-19 numbers in Arkansas. The state reported 4,600 new COVID cases on Tuesday. That is down from the previous week. We also have 29 additional deaths, considerably larger than recent reports. Hospitals are still pretty full with around 1,700 people currently hospitalized with COVID-19. State health leaders continue pleading for people to get vaccinated and to utilize free at-home COVID tests. The Sebastian County Sheriff's Office this afternoon is mourning the loss of a colleague and friend who died from COVID this week. After being hospitalized for several weeks, Sergeant Bill Shibley died on Monday due to complications of the virus. Sergeant Shibley served the people of Sebastian County for more than 22 years. The Sheriff's Office called him a, quote, faithful, dependable leader. President Joe Biden is discussing potential Supreme Court nominees with Republican senators, including Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Several Republicans are slamming the president's campaign promise to nominate the first black female justice. At least a dozen women are currently under consideration. They include federal judges, state Supreme Court judges, professors, and civil rights attorneys. Several are former public defenders or prosecutors.
Selecting a justice is one of the president's most serious responsibilities.
President Biden tells Democratic senators he wants them to move quickly and get his pick confirmed within 40 days of her nomination. The president also has ordered the U.S. military to send more forces to Europe in response to a Russian troop buildup along its border with Ukraine. Natalie Brand has the latest from Capitol Hill.
The Pentagon says it's deploying more U.S. forces to Eastern Europe at the request of NATO allies concerned Russia will invade Ukraine.
We are making it clear that we're going to be prepared to defend our NATO allies if it comes to that. Hopefully it won't come to that. 2,000
soldiers will be leaving from Fort Bragg in North Carolina to posts in Germany and Poland. Another 1,000 troops will be moving from Germany to Romania.
These are not permanent moves. They are moves designed to respond to the current security environment. Moreover, these forces are not going to fight in Ukraine. They're going to ensure the robust defense of our NATO allies.
Today, the Russian Ministry of Defense released this video showing its army conducting joint military exercises with Belarus near the border.
Mr. Putin continues to add forces, combined arms, offensive capabilities, even over just the last 24 hours.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have been pushing to send more resources to Ukraine and NATO allies in a show of U.S. support against the Russian threat.
Send the Ukrainians weapons they can fight with, anti-tank weaponry, ground-to-air missiles. Give them a chance to inflict some real damage on the Russians if they, in fact, come in.
U.S. officials say Russia has shown no clear signs of de-escalation, but the State Department continues to urge Russian President Vladimir Putin to pursue diplomacy. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Today's U.S. troop deployment is separate from the 8,500 personnel who were put on heightened alert last week. The Pentagon says those soldiers remain ready to move if called upon. Arkansans aren't the only ones getting ready for the incoming winter weather. Look at what's happening across the country. But first, Nathan brings us up to speed on the storm headed straight in our direction.
Michael, we're going to have an icy punch delivered to us here in most of Arkansas. That means sleet and freezing rain are the main concerns. I'll have what you need to know coming up.